Have you ever had a moment where you know you're exactly where you're supposed to be? There's a feeling that's so clean and so complete it almost scares you. The feeling feels like this. There's absolutely nothing better I could be doing with my time right now. It's one of the rarest feelings in life. It's not this is productive and it's not this will pay off later. It just feels right. It's like your mind stops bargaining. No alternate timelines, no second screen in your head. You're fully in the room. You're fully in the moment. And it's rare because most of life is good but, or fine but. Today I want to explore that phenomenon, what it feels like, why it happens, why it fades, and how you can find versions of it again without needing to completely blow up your life. Welcome back to Thinking and Being. If you like what you see today, please be sure to like and subscribe, as this will enable you to see more content from myself and others just like this. My pledge to you is that I'll make each video successively better as we go, so all I ask is that you stick around to see that progression. And I think you'll like what you see. So why this particular topic? I got this idea for this video when I was walking across the street. I always go across the street to get coffee in the morning. And often when I do, I see parents and their kids playing in the park. And it reminded me of the feeling that I got when I was with my kids, who are older now, and what it felt to be with them in the moment, raising them, and just focused on them, being with them, and how it felt like there was absolutely nothing that I could be doing better with my time in that moment, and how I haven't felt that feeling any other time in my life. Other times in your life when you're young, you're wondering if I should maybe be doing something different at the moment. Am I going the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Later in life, now that my kids are older, I have more freedom. I'm doing things like YouTube. I have a full-time job. I'm thinking about career stuff. I'm thinking about, am I optimizing my time? So there's all these things that come into your head. But there are rare times in your life where you feel like you're in the perfectly right place and the perfectly right time, and you're not thinking about anything else that you could be doing better with that time in that moment. And that feeling is what we're going to talk about in this video. And I asked AI for a name for this rare feeling, and it came up with the word rightness. I don't know if that's a great name or not, but it is about the right place and the right time. 100%, no doubt in your mind that that is what you should be doing in the moment. Have you had that feeling? Comment below if you have. And let us know what you were doing in the moment. For me, it was parenting, but let's get into it. So what is that right place feeling, and what does it actually feel like? Let's just talk about the ingredients of the feeling, because it has a few signatures. So first, time stops feeling scarce. Not literally, but subjectively. You're not rushing, you're not performing. Second, your attention becomes single-threaded. You're not split between what you're doing and what you should be doing. Third, your heart and your calendar agree. Your values match your actions in real time. Fourth, there's a quiet sense of usefulness. You matter right now, even if nobody's applauding. And when all those line up, your nervous system relaxes like it's finally back in its natural habitat. That's why it feels almost spiritual. It's not happiness, but it's alignment. So why do, in my case, at least for parenting, why do kids trigger it so powerfully? A lot of people feel this not because parenting is always enjoyable, but because it's one of the few roles where the why is immediate and unquestionable. Little moments, feeding them, walking beside them, watching them discover something, watching cartoons with them in the morning when they wake up. These can feel like you're standing in the exact center of the universe. Why? Because in those moments, you're doing something that is undeniably real, not abstract, irreversible, this moment's not going to come back, and relational. It's not just about you. It's like life temporarily removes all the fake choices and hands you one true job. Be here. And when you truly are, it's magic. And there are seasons of life. Let's talk about purpose by default versus purpose by choice. When kids are young, life gives you a default mission. It's not always easy, but it's clear. You don't need to invent meaning. You're needed. But later when life loosens its grip and you get more freedom, The gift comes with a cost. You suddenly have to decide what your time is for. And freedom is loud. It creates a new kind of pressure to optimize, to maximize, and not waste the day. So the question becomes less, how do I survive? And more, am I using my life correctly? And that's a much harder question because there's no scoreboard. From a psychology standpoint, it can feel like flow, but with love in it. Psychology has a word for the locked-in part of this: flow. A concept popularized by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Flow often shows up when challenge and skill meet. Your attention gets fully absorbed. But this nothing better feeling is like flow's older sibling, flow plus meaning. Flow can happen playing a video game or fixing a car. But this rightness or right place feeling usually includes a second layer. Your brain senses that what you're doing belongs in the story of your life. It's not just engaging, it's significant. That's why it can make you emotional. It's the rare overlap of absorption and purpose. And once you've tasted that overlap, regular life can feel oddly thin. And then there's also a psychologist by the name of Erik Erikson. He laid out the stages of life development. And one of the big adult ones is basically generativity versus stagnation. Generativity means you're creating, building, raising, mentoring, investing in something beyond yourself. Stagnation is when life becomes a loop of maintenance and self-focus, even if you're busy. Parenting is generativity on hard mode. You're pouring yourself into someone else's every day. When that fades, the mind can slide into stagnation. Not because you're selfish, but because you don't have an obvious recipient for your energy anymore. The solution isn't get busy. It's more choose a form of generativity on purpose. Philosophy has an even better name. Aristotle's eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing. It's not about chasing pleasure or comfort. It's about living in a way that expresses what's best in you, your virtues, your love, your responsibility, your courage, and your care. So that magic feeling isn't necessarily your brain saying, this is fun. It's your deeper self saying, this is what human life is for. That's why it feels settled. Your internal court stops arguing. And it's why those moments become memory landmarks, like little indicators on the trail of your life. Even years later, you can recall them and think, yes, that was real.
So you left her right from the start.
Absolutely.
Then why no pictures?
Oh, there are pictures. I keep them where I need the most cheering up.
So what are some conditions that create that rare feeling? If we treat this like a phenomenon, it's usually created by three conditions that are happening at the same time. The first is presence. Your attention is not fractured. Second is bond. You're connected to someone or something that feels real. Third, stakes. The moment matters, even quietly. Parenting hits all three constantly. But here's the point. Kids aren't the only way to have that feeling. These conditions can show up in other contexts: teaching, building, serving, mentoring, creating, caregiving, even certain friendships. The tragedy is that modern life is designed to break these conditions: fractured attention, thin bonds, low-stakes tasks, infinite distractions. So this rightness feeling isn't rare because humans are broken. It's rare because our environment is. And then why does it feel like a superpower? When you're in this state, you become a different person. You're calmer, warmer, less needy, less performative, less self-conscious. That's because your brain isn't scanning for what else. It has landed. It almost feels like being protected from yourself, from overthinking, from comparison, from insecurity. That's why people chase it through achievement, travel, relationships, or even chaos, because the brain is craving that relief. But the best version of it isn't escapism. It's grounding. It's the opposite of taking a vacation from your life. It's feeling like your life is finally inhabitable. And the modern enemy is split attention, where moments never fully form. Modern life trains your mind to keep one foot out the door. Notifications, feeds, news cycles, just checking, background worry, background ambition. So even when you're doing something meaningful, part of you is elsewhere, and the moment can't fully form. This is why social media can make your life weirdly unreal. You're always half watching yourself live. The rightness feeling doesn't happen when you're narrating your life. It happens when you're inhabiting it. And let's talk about systems thinking, as we often do, the uncertainty loop. Here's a reinforcing loop. Uncertainty makes you seek certainty, so you start optimizing your life. Optimization makes you overthink and compare. Overthinking fragments your attention. Fragmented attention reduces presence. Reduced presence makes you feel less meaningful. And when life feels less meaningful, you feel more uncertainty. That's the loop. The system is stable, but it's stable in the wrong direction. So you need a balancing loop that involves commitment, contribution, and community. Things that reduce uncertainty by grounding your identity in action, not rumination. And also notice what's missing. It's not about morality, it's about feedback. If your weeks are built around thin interactions and fragmented attention, the system will naturally drift towards numbness. But if you intentionally build conditions for presence and bond, the system can self-reinforce toward meaning. This is why one great afternoon with the right people can feel like a month of life. It's not time, it's more like density. And one of the things I do in my videos is a quick YouTube shout out to other content creators on YouTube. Today, I want to promote Tim Runia. I do this because they have incredibly engaging and insightful content. They've inspired me to be on YouTube, and obviously for that, they deserve some credit. Tim has a channel that advises other YouTubers on best practices for creating content and publishing YouTube videos. And there's a lot of those kind of channels out there, but his channel is not the same old thing that you would expect. He has some of the best production value videos that I've ever seen on YouTube. And I can't even imagine how long it takes him to make even just one video. But that's what makes him unique and great. He has numerous videos that give advice on being a better YouTuber and what it's like to take steps towards following your dreams. I'll leave a link to his channel in my description below to this video, as well as a link to his video about the top 5 things he learned after being on YouTube for 1 year. And as I come up on 1 year on YouTube, obviously I still have much to learn. Okay, back to this video. So how do you get that feeling of rightness back without having to start over? Here's the powerful and hopeful part. You don't need to create the exact life stage to recreate the feeling. You need to recreate the conditions. Try this as a thought experiment. When was the last time you felt like there's nothing better I could possibly doing with my time in this moment? What was the setting? Who was there? What was at stake? Were you needed? Were you building something? Were you fully off your phone? The goal isn't nostalgia. It's reverse engineering. Once you see the pattern, then you can build micro versions of that state. A weekly ritual, a standing commitment, a project with real stakes, a form of service, a creative output that matters to someone else. Meaning isn't found, it's constructed, and then it rewards you with that feeling. And here's 3 experiments to recreate the magic. First is the 2-hour monastery. Once a week, 2 hours with no phone, no multitask, doing one meaningful thing. It could be with someone, for someone, or just building something. The rule is single thread attention. Second, what I call the recipient rule. Choose one recipient for your energy this month. Your kid, a friend, a mentee, a community, a creative audience. Meaning spikes when love has a target. Third, the stake upgrade. Take one area of your life and raise the stakes from maintenance to mission. Example, don't just go work out at the gym. Train for something. Don't just hang out with friends. Host something. Don't just post something on social media. Ship something creative that you're proud of. These create the conditions where the moment can actually land. And the point isn't youth, it's alignment. The most comforting reframe could possibly be this. That feeling that I had when I was raising my kids and they were young, that wasn't necessarily youth. It wasn't luck, it was alignment. And alignment is still available. It's just harder to stumble into accidentally. The real tragedy of adulthood isn't that you get older. It's that life gets so optimized, distracted, and performative that you stop entering moments fully. So the win isn't figure out the perfect life. The win is build a life where you regularly experience those undeniable moments, where your attention, your values, and your actions stack up. And if you can do that, even once a week, you're not just passing time, you're actually living.
Yep. I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Thanks for watching today. My 3 key takeaways are that magic feeling of rightness isn't happiness, it's alignment. Second, you don't need the old life stage back. You need the conditions back. And then last, build a weekly meaning loop ritual for more presence, connection, and meaning. So what do you think? How often do you get this feeling? If not as a parent, how does this feeling come about for you? Comment below and let us know. If you like what you saw today, please like and subscribe, as it will keep content like this coming your way. And stay tuned for more content ranging from consciousness to physics, philosophy, psychology, systems thinking, as well as all the intersections in between that affect your thinking and being. Until then, keep thinking and being, and do not go gentle into that good night.